Trauma. How is it defined? So, most people think of it as a bad experience in life, earlier in life, cause you everlasting harm. I guess my question is, what is the difference between trauma and, shall we say, training? What is the difference between trauma and learning a lesson? One of the TV shows was advertising about Eurosports and is talking about, how people suffered to get to where they are today. It's bicycling week, I guess, and this guy had all these, scratches from falling off. We saw one guy who almost fell off the hill, but luckily he did not. He just gets back up and gets on a bike again and goes. But I guess the main question is, do people define it differently? So to use this slightly different analogy, I was thinking about the concept of Wolverine. So most people who know X-Men know Wolverine. I guess maybe part of that people who know X-Men would know that Wolverine's special power is not his claws. It's just that he was able to survive them experimenting and putting claws in him. But his special power is super fast healing. That's why he can survive. And so if you look at, people who make it in professional sports, do they not get injured? And that's why they make it? Or they get injured and recover from it, and that's why they make it? Either way, injury is not abnormal. It's not unusual. It's common, shall we say. And that's just part of life, part of training. That's how you get better, how you get stronger. And if you think about it, isn't life going to be full of road bumps, obstacles, bruising, shall we say, battles? A YouTuber mentioned the term trauma recently. There's this girl named Nemo who plays chess, and she plays pretty well. Not super well, as in she's famous. One would know her. I guess her high score is 2370 or something. But she plays against random people, and most people are surprised a girl could play well and think they could beat her. And she had one where she recorded how traumatic it was with her parents. They had immigrated to Finland, and they wanted her to go to good school, and so they pushed her to do chess when they realized she was good at it. And it wasn't fun, and she just had to do it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and her dad would get mad when she was doing other stuff on her computer and smash her laptop. That sounds bad. That sounds traumatic. And even though I didn't go through myself, I just think about it. What about the end? What about the end result, right? She now plays chess really well, and she could make a YouTube channel of it. It's not like she has millions of followers, maybe 100 something, 200,000, but some. Is that worth it? If so, does that make it not trauma? For me, I define the experiences, not as good or bad, but if you learn from it, then they're good. And it sounds very banal, but think of it this way. Navy SEALs, they go through really harsh training. Is that traumatic? I think that's just called life to them, training, to get them where they are today. Doctors go through residency, which is pretty harsh, and medical school. And I guess you could say it's traumatizing, but I don't know if I view it that way. I guess I didn't have that hard of a time, but it's just training. It's what you have to go through. It's expected. And I guess that's one of those things when everybody goes through it and it's expected. First of all, it's not traumatic. It's just life, right? But the second thing is when you gain something from it, doesn't that make it worth it and thus okay in a sense? I don't know, right? Because I think about it. And people don't get to exceptional places often without having very harsh experiences. Like Tiger Woods, everybody's seen that video of him a few years old hitting a golf ball on national TV. Gotta say, his dad pushed him quite hard to get there. Wasn't easy. Didn't have a normal childhood. But without it, I think he would agree, he wouldn't be where he was, where he is. Right? The cost. of many things is quite high. And people talk about trauma as kids because they're not given a choice. But if you were looking back, would you have chosen that path? Right? Because there's no free lunch in life. You look at all these things developed from research. People suffered a lot to develop this knowledge. You take it for free, but it's not free, right? And if you look up personally, a lot of knowledge is not free either. We like to think it's free, but it's not. And I think the best analogy I have, because chess is much an intellectual game, is physical activities, working out, bodybuilding, strength training, etc. I remember my friend telling me that, it's not painful. And I say it definitely is painful working out. He just views soreness as good. You're training your body. And I think many people who make it are that way. Athletes, professionals. This is just part of training, getting better. And when you change your mindset and view it that way, then is it no longer trauma, but just improvement and the costs that are borne, right? I mean, not to put it lightly, but it hurts some people a lot to pay money, right? Scrooge, for example. It's like they'd rather give up their kid than to pay money. I mean, so if you think about it, right? All this stuff that's considered suffering, when you do it for the right reason, right? It's okay. Most parents would suffer for their children's sake. And they wouldn't call it traumatic. It's great that you could do such. And I guess when you think about it yourself, do you think about it the same way? So Daniel Kahneman wrote a book, and I think he introduces many concepts. He's called Thinking Fast and Slow. He talks about many things. But one concept I found very interesting was about two yous. There's a you of the past, and there's a you of the future, and the you of the present, right? But basically, there's a you of the present and a you of not present, right? So he talks about you of the future you versus present you, right? And so future you could say benefit from this, but present you, do you want to go through it? Are we talking about two different persons? Because some people would say, well, it's not just me, right? Why wouldn't I do this? It's hard right now, but it benefits me in the future, right? Many kids do this, right? They work hard now so they can have a better life, easier job in the future. But can you convert that to the same thing for the past? There's you, me of right now, and then me of the past. Me of the past did things for me right now. I appreciate that me. And given I made it right now, me in the past didn't do it in vain, didn't suffer in vain. Just worked hard, did what's required, trained, went through it and made it so I could be where I am today. And I feel like that's how, if you want to look at life, to achieve more, you have to look at this concept of trauma and experience. Think of what you can accomplish. Because it's not going to be perfect, right? We all want perfect training. But it's like making decisions about traveling for me. There's no perfection. There's no perfect trip. Randomness could be great. Some of the best experiences I had were random trips where I didn't know anything, didn't speak the language, didn't have much guidance. Just random encounters with people. But guess what? There's no free lunch, right? You have to put yourself out there. Maybe be rejected, maybe be hurt, maybe get scammed. But that's just the way it is. And you could choose what to focus on and choose what to defocus on and ignore and let fade out of sight. And that's, I guess, at least how I view trauma versus learning.